Alrighty, I'll go ahead and begin now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our UC Berkeley virtual campus visit. My name is Evelyn. I am a student and campus ambassador here. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I'm really excited that you all decided to take an hour out of your day to spend with us. And next, we also wanted to just say happy homecoming, and we're really excited to welcome anyone back to Berkeley, even virtually, if you are joining us today. And here we have a few really fun images celebrating homecoming and just celebrating you all. And again, before we get started with the virtual visit, I wanted to give a shout out to something really exciting that happened on our campus recently. We recently had 2 Nobel Prize wins. So first we have Professor Jennifer Doudna, who just won the 2020 Nobel Prize in Chemistry, and Professor Reinhard Genzel, who just won the 2020 Nobel Prize for Physics. So again, a huge congratulations to them, and it's just another thing that we're celebrating this year. All right, so a few housekeeping items before we begin. So today we will have a 45-minute presentation led by our 2 student campus ambassadors, and we'll have a 15-minute Q&A session where they'll be able to answer any questions that you might have live. So please feel free to type questions in the Q&A function down at the bottom of your screen. We have a whole team of campus ambassadors in the back end that will be happy to answer your questions. There will also be a few polls throughout the presentation, so please go ahead and fill those out so we can get a little bit of a sense of where you all are joining us from. And there will be another recorded virtual visit with the homecoming version available on our YouTube channel if you'd like to check it out after this tour. This visit will cover a campus overview from the student perspective, and we wanted to let you know that if you'd like to check out more Homecoming and Parents Weekend information, please feel free to visit homecoming.berkeley.edu. And with that, I will hand it off to Aidan and Kaelyn, our 2 tour givers for today.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. Hi all, my name is Kaelyn. I use she, her, and hers pronouns. I am from the small town of Ojai, California, although I'm currently coming to you live from San Diego. I am a junior here at Cal studying geography as well as society and environment. A little bit about me, I'm involved in the Queer Alliance Resource Center, student government, community service. I'm also the Cal Parents and Families intern this year, which has been an absolute blast. And recently I got involved in a really cool company called Custom Life where I am the head of publicity and marketing for a merchandising company. It's really, really cool. You should check us out. And one thing about me is that even though I am a geography major, I actually have a terrible sense of direction. So bear with me. Hopefully I won't get too lost in this virtual tour.
Hello, everybody. I hope we're all having a fantastic day today. My name is Aidan. I use the he, him, his pronouns. I'm from Dana Point, California, which is located in Orange County, kind of south of the LA area. And I am also a junior, but I'm studying chemical engineering. And as for some of my on-campus involvement, I am involved with the UC Valley Committee, which is this big spirit organization we have on campus. We usually during an in-person semester, we go to all the different football and basketball games and do all kinds of fun stuff like waving flags and doing all kinds of fun spirit stuff. Last year, I taught the Cal History, Spirit, and Traditions decal. So if you're unfamiliar, decals are courses that are student-led and taught to other students. So last year, I got to teach a course all about our university, about the history and the spirit and traditions of our university. It's very fun. Another group I'm part of is the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, or IKE for short. That's an organization that gets the chemical engineers on campus to meet each other and socialize, as well as connect us with different kinds of internship and research opportunities. So a lot of fun stuff I'm involved with, and with that, we will start this virtual visit. So welcome everybody to Berkeley. So you should be seeing a poll popping up on your screen sometime soon. There it is, asking you about who you are. We're gonna get an idea of who we're presenting this tour to. And so here we just have a few pictures of some overview stuff of the campus. In the top left, you'll see a GIF of some drone overhead footage all across the campus, our beautiful campus. It's unfortunate that we're not able to be here in person, but we're still able to do something to get you to experience the campus because it is very beautiful. At the bottom, on the bottom left, you'll see 150 years of women at Berkeley, or 150W. So this is something that we're celebrating this year. The actual anniversary for admitting women to the university was a couple weeks ago. And that started 150 years ago in 1870, which is an absolutely insane achievement since that was way before women even had the right to vote. So it's pretty amazing that is that progressive. For some of the other pictures here, we have in the top right Memorial Glade, one of my favorite parts of campus where a lot of students like to hang out. It's a very open grass field all around with some very beautiful buildings surrounding the glade. And then in the middle, you'll see a picture of our campanile, our very beautiful 307, I don't know where I got 100 from, 307 foot tall tower that you can see from anywhere on the campus. It's very beautiful. And yeah, and so I first came to the campus during Cal Day and not knowing very much about the university at the time and just being absolutely amazed by how beautiful the campus was. I really am proud that I'm going to a university that's this cool, that's very fun to explore around. It's very unfortunate that I can't experience that as much right now, but it's still a very fun thing that I've been very happy to be part of.
Thank you so much, Aidan, for that lovely introduction. So here we have an agenda, or as I like to call it, a map of words. So this will keep me on track today and it'll hopefully help you guys all figure out what we're doing today. We are going over a bunch of cool topics, general overview of Berkeley, some academics, housing and dining, health and safety, student resources, student life, athletics, libraries and research, and remote learning. Please, please, please ask us all of the questions today. If Aidan and I don't get to answer it, our lovely panel of campus ambassadors on the back end will answer them for you. So with that, let's take it away. So we have some wonderful history. I see that we have a lot of alums here, so I'm sure you're very familiar with it. We were founded in 1868. We go by many names: Berkeley, Cal, University of California, and that is because we are the first UC campus, so we get to claim all of the names. It's really, really wonderful. Our mascot is the Golden Bears, and as you can see in one of those pictures on the slides right there, we have our lovable mascot, Oski. Oski is a phenomenal character. Love seeing how he's changed over the years. Love seeing him on campus. It's kind of like a Where's Waldo thing for me. Like, I like to see if I can find where Oski is on campus, like just walking around, and oftentimes like it's not that hard to find him. Like, he's everywhere. It's crazy. We are a pretty large campus. We have around 30,000 undergraduates and about 12,000 graduates. One thing to remember is that even though the campus size student-wise is pretty big, it's actually a huge campus, like physically, like on a geographical level. So it doesn't really feel that crowded, which is really, really wonderful. We have a lot of historical landmarks, as you can see that beautiful GIF of the Sailor Tower, which is also in my Zoom background. It's just an absolutely beautiful, beautiful campus. Highly recommend that you come and check it out as soon as possible. We have a self-guided tour you can use as well if you do come physically to campus to check out those wonderful landmarks.
Thank you, Kaelyn. So you kind of understood from that our university is very old and there's been many students that have graduated from our university. And as such, we're here to talk about on this slide about that campus community, about the students that were here on campus. So one of the biggest defining things of Berkeley students, I'd say, is that we're very big change makers. We emphasize free speech, leadership, challenging the status quo, research and innovation. So one of the biggest pivotal moments for Berkeley's history and Berkeley's community is the free speech movement, which took place during the 1960s. If you're unfamiliar with what this is a movement that took place where students basically, what's the word I'm looking for? So there's a lot of like political, a lot of going on in the world at that time during the 1960s. It was a time during the civil rights movement and during the Vietnam War. And so students really wanted to voice their opinions, but at the time the university had a policy where students weren't able to have that voice on campus and be able to get together like social demonstrations and voice their opinions about the things going on in the world. And so students led a whole bunch of peaceful protests, that's the word I'm looking for, on Sproul and all throughout the campus, basically advocating for free speech. And eventually it's mined in the policy, and now students are able to have that space on campus to voice their opinions, which is something that's really great. A lot of other universities followed in suit soon after the free speech movement and allowed their students to have similar freedoms. And another thing is that this led to a lot of other future movements at Berkeley, such as the Third World Liberation Front, where students were basically voicing their opinions about things that are wrong in the world and wanting to change it. And so another thing that I want to note here is about the community. The community is my favorite part of UC Berkeley. I really love the community. We are just such compassionate and passionate people. We strive for social justice, so full of spirit and pride, diversity, excellence. And so just one thing that I really love about the community is that it really is a place where I feel like that I could belong. Most of the people I know have some sort of family, some group where they feel like they belong on campus. And that's what really just makes us so spirited and so prideful to go to this university, that it really is a family that we all belong in. So I really love that personally. And so here we have some pictures of the Berkeley culture in our community. So you get an idea what that's like. So on the top left, you see an example of a protest. So this is the kind of rights that we were fighting for during the free speech movement. And so it's great that now students have that space on campus where they're able to peacefully protest. There is no pressure for students to join protests or to not join protests. So it's not something where it's very like violent or rash. Some people think that when they're first looking at Berkeley, but it's definitely not a thing to worry about. And then we have some examples of spirit on campus. On the bottom left, you'll see a noon rally on Sproul. So we typically have these rallies at noon the Friday before a football game. It's a great way to get everybody super spirited and prideful before the game. Since at this time there's usually a lot of people walking to and from class, and they just see the Cal band and the cheer team all performing. So it's like, oh wow, cool. So get a lot of fun spirit from that. In the top right, you'll see the UC Rally Committee with Oski. That's the group that I'm a part of, the Rally Committee. And so some more shows of spirit there. In the middle, we have some examples of some of the cool research and innovation that happens on campus. And so one story that I want to share real quick, when during my freshman year, kind of like a display of like the campus community and spirit, was that during my first week of classes here, there's one day where I was in my dorm. It was evening time, like 8 or 9 o'clock. And suddenly I keep hearing from outside these people yelling, "Come outside, come outside." I was very confused by what this was. So I go outside and I see basically the rally committee, the Cal band, the cheer team, all the spirit groups on campus. They're all in the plaza in our dorm. And they're all just performing all these really big songs, all the Cal songs, and the rally committee is all singing along to it. And from that moment, I knew that this was just such an awesome university to go to, because everyone was just showing like this spirit and pride, and like it was just out of nowhere. And that was definitely a special moment that I'll never forget from my freshman year.
Yeah, like I have the same story as Aidan, like right there. Absolutely. Like I think one time when I was living in the dorms, like the whole Cal band started playing a bunch of Mamma Mia songs, and that's like my favorite movie. So I was so excited. It was awesome. Danced along, stood on the balcony, had a wonderful time. Now I get to talk to you a little bit about stuff that's happening now. Obviously, these are kind of crazy times, but we're doing a lot as a university. We're doing a lot to improve education access and scalability, increase like student tech. There's a whole program to give students technology, because a lot of students are at home and don't have the same access as they would if they were on campus. We're also doing a lot of COVID research. There's trial testing going on, trying to get a saliva test going, which is really cool because it's rapid, it's not invasive. I think it's an absolutely wonderful thing. We also have advocacy and social justice. I actually know one of the people in this photo for the Human Rights Lab down in the bottom left corner, Lily Syria. Sorry, I'm botching her name right now, but she is absolutely wonderful. I had a class with her. She is just such a tour de force, like beyond an incredible person. So powerful. Like I got to sit next to her every day in class, and I was like, dang, this is a cool person that I want to aspire to be like. But it's been just a lot of people coming together ultimately to really make the world a better place despite all this craziness that's happening. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to say about that. I could talk for hours, but let's get going.
All right, so the next topic we're going to talk about is academics. Woo! And so now you should be seeing a poll popping up on your screen asking about academics. So we know that we have some alumni and some parents here on the tour because it's homecoming weekend. So we're asking either what did you study at Cal or what did your students study at Cal? So you have a little bit of, so everyone's able to answer something on this poll. And so yeah, our 5 undergraduate colleges, which you're probably familiar with, are the Colleges of Letters and Science, the Rausser College of Natural Resources, the College of Environmental Design, the College of Chemistry, the college that I'm in, and the College of Engineering. So all the majors are all distributed throughout all these different colleges, and a few of the colleges, namely Letters and Science, Natural Resources, and Engineering, have undeclared options for people that are applying and don't know exactly what they want to do yet. So yeah, and on these next few slides, we're going to be covering all the different types of colleges and what they have to offer. And yeah, and so it looks like we have a pretty good mix of people all across this tour: engineering, environmental sciences, arts and humanities, all over the place. So good thing, because we're going to cover all the colleges on this tour.
So now we get to talk about the College of Letters and Sciences. Obviously, this is the biggest college. This is where one of my majors are, geography. Very, very exciting. There's 5 different divisions: arts and humanities, biological sciences, math, physical science, all these wonderful 80+ majors that you can get involved in. Pretty much if you go in here, you're gonna find something you like, which is really, really cool. And that's where 17 out of 25 of our Nobel Prizes have come from. Like, this is such a powerhouse on campus. Like, you will interact with the College of Letters and Sciences regardless of the college you're a part of, which I think is absolutely wonderful. Like, no one leaves Berkeley without having some sort of interaction with this college. And now we get to talk about my favorite college, the Rouser College of Natural Resources. This is where I was admitted to as a freshman. Very, very exciting. It is my favorite college. I know I'm a little biased, but so be it. There's an environmental focus in all of our programs, but you can really do whatever you want. Like, you can go about it from the economic standpoint, you can go about it from a very science-heavy standpoint, or you can do what I did, which is come at it from kind of an interdisciplinary social science part of it. There's a really huge emphasis on sustainability and social justice. Every Rouser College of Natural Resource student is required to take some sort of social justice class. Really, really fascinating. And one thing that I really hold dear to my heart is our college's motto, which is see the bigger picture and make a better world. See the bigger picture, make a better world. How inspiring is that? Like, it is such a beautiful, wonderful culture on campus. We also just got a $50 million donation from Gordon Rouser, a former dean of ours. Super, super exciting. There's only, like, there's so many possibilities here, and I'm so excited to see what we can do here.
Yeah, everyone that I know that's in the Rouser College of Natural Resources absolutely loves it. Like, all the other colleges, like, you know, everybody likes their majors there, but the people in natural resources are just so passionate about the college. So I feel like you did a good job of capturing that, Kaelyn. So for our next college, we'll be talking about the College of Environmental Design. And this college is definitely the smallest of our colleges. It's around 650 students and only has 4 majors in it: architecture, landscape architecture, urban studies, and sustainable environmental design. And one neat thing to note is that architecture is ranked number 4 globally, which is pretty amazing in itself. And I also know that a lot of the other programs are ranked pretty high. Like, last I checked, all 3 of the graduate programs in this college are all ranked number 1 globally. So that's just absolutely amazing that our university is able to accomplish that and accomplish so many other things on top of that. And so one thing that's neat about architecture here at Berkeley and the College of Environmental Design is that they're not only focusing on teaching you all the math and all the structural stuff you need to design architecture and design buildings, but also the environmental impact that your decisions have. So it's not so much of just like clear cut, this is what you need to do to build this, but like taking into account things around the environment, taking into account things in the world so that you don't make really big mistakes that could be really bad. And so that's reflected in their mission statement here, which is to craft ecologically sustainable and resilient, prosperous and fair, healthy and beautifully built environments. And with that, we'll be moving on to the next college, which is my personal favorite college. I also think I'm a bit biased, but it is the College of Chemistry. The College of Chemistry is also a pretty small college, but it's bigger than environmental design. It has around 1,000 students and has 3 majors: chemistry, chemical engineering, and chemical biology. So I'm studying chemical engineering, which is in this college, not the College of Engineering. It's a long explanation, but the way how I like to look at it is that because we have a College of Chemistry, that major belongs here and not in the College of Engineering. Just like if we had a computer science college, that electrical engineering and computer science would be in that college. I just want to clear that up because some people think that if you major in chemical engineering, you're not learning engineering, which is very wrong. But excuse me. But to be frank, I'm a bit more proud to be in this college than the College of Engineering because this college is ranked number 1 globally, and Berkeley has such a profound history with chemistry throughout its 152 years of existence. First of all, we discovered 16 elements on the periodic table, which is absolutely insane. No other university will come close to that achievement in our lifetime. And because of that, because we've had that, because we've went and discovered these elements, we kind of have the perks of naming some of the elements after us. So we have berkelium and californium. And 16 elements is a pretty big number of the periodic table because the periodic table has like around, I think, 118 elements on it. So that's around like 10% of the periodic tables from Berkeley. So that's just crazy. Another cool thing about the College of Chemistry and its history involving chemistry is that Lewis dot structures were invented here. So Professor Lewis was a professor who taught here earlier in the 1900s. And he was having trouble showing people this concept of covalent bonding and where electrons go in bonds. So on the fly, he came up with this notation, which is now called Lewis dot structures. to teach students to kind of clear the confusion of where the electrons were. And ever since then, Lewis dot structures have now been incorporated to pretty much every high school chemistry class. So that's a cool thing that Berkeley has also done through chemistry. And I'm definitely very proud to be part of Berkeley and its big history in chemistry. And this is definitely some of the greatest chemistry minds in the world greatest chemistry minds in the world that you can learn from. And I'm very happy to be at a university like this.
Wow, absolutely incredible. I'd never heard it put into terms like that. Amazing, mind blown. So now we have the College of Engineering, which has roughly 3,800 students, 11 majors. You apply directly to this college as opposed to, doing the general, you still do the general applications, but it's more of a direct application. We do have a separate engineering virtual visit with a ton of information. Aidan and I have actually given a tour for the engineering visit together, so this is a really wonderful time for us both. The engineering school is beyond incredible. There are so many wonderful things to be a part of. So many resources, research resources, class resources, insane. And they also have a really wonderful motto that I think is really cool, which is transform the lives of our students by preparing them to become successful leaders and innovators for positive change. Check out our virtual engineering visit. It's a blast.
And then one last topic we have to talk about for academics is graduate schools. So UC Berkeley has a pretty big focus on graduate students in graduate school. We saw earlier that we have around 12,000 students that are graduate students, and we have all sorts of different graduate schools. We have the Haas School of Business, Schools of Education, Information, Law, Social Welfare, Optometry, Journalism, Public Health, and Public Policy. So there's so many different opportunities for graduate students in these colleges, and also through the undergraduate colleges that we mentioned earlier, there's graduate opportunities through those. And so a lot of people that I know that are undergraduates here, they're interested in grad school, like a lot of them are just looking to come back to Berkeley just because there's so many opportunities here. And one neat opportunity through the Haas School of Business is that they offer business administration, which is an undergraduate major that you can get, but it has a bit of an interesting process for getting into it. So if you want to study business and administration in your first 2 years, you're considered to be pre-business. And then at the end of your sophomore year, you'll apply to the Haas School of Business, and it has like around a 30 to 35-ish% acceptance rate. If you get in, then you're able to get a business degree in 2 years, which is pretty amazing. And other than that, there's some other cool opportunities offered through Haas, such as the MET program, which is a way how you can get an engineering and business degree in 4 years. It's a relatively new program, and it's something that you have to apply into. But it is something that I do know some people that are doing MET. It's not a big program, but it really does give you that dual threat to go out into the world with both an engineering and business degree. So tons of opportunities at Berkeley.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Aidan. So now I get to talk a little bit about structure and class sizes, which is kind of where the graduate school comes into play. We have graduate student instructors that host discussion sections in addition to the general lecture. And it's beyond incredible. And this has stayed very much so the same through virtual learning. We still have our discussion sections, still have our lectures, still have our labs, still have office hours. And office hours, I think right now are actually easier to go to because you don't actually have to go trek to campus. I had office hours this morning at 8 a.m., which if I'd been in person, I'm not positive I would have gone to because 8 a.m. is really early. But because I was just, at home and able to turn on my computer basically within like a couple minutes and get on, it was very doable for me. Beyond that, our class sizes, we do have an 18:1 student to faculty ratio, which means our classes aren't that big. Like I'm sure alums remember very, very well how many students were in their classes. I don't know how much has changed, but this is how it is now. 85% of our classes do have fewer than 50 students. There are a lot of hands-on labs and studios. I know there are ways that they're still making the hands-on labs happen despite being virtual. I have a lab right now, but it's all kind of based around Illustrator, so like that hasn't really changed for me either. And there's so many resources to be a part of. We have the Student Learning Center, and then there's individual advising. My college, College of Natural Resources, has really, really great advising, but there's so many other ways to get involved as well.
All right, and now next on this slide, we'll be talking a bit about remote learning in the fall 2020 semester. So times definitely are interesting, but we are adapting to these times. So we still are learning and getting all that same academic experience here. I'll definitely say that in the spring 2020 semester, it was a bit more like crazy and like not as well defined because it was just kind of dropped on us all of a sudden. But over the summer, our professors have definitely put a lot of work and preparation into adapting to online classes, and I'm definitely learning a lot better and a lot more efficiently than I thought I was going to during this online setting. So here for our fall semester, we're fully remote, and we originally had hybridization goals in line with CDC guidelines, but right now we're looking forward to that in the spring semester. Right now for the spring semester, I know for sure that we're going to start out all online, but we'll try to see if we can't get some of the smaller classes to be in person. So we're doing the best we can. Hopefully we can get back to being in person sooner rather than later, but you gotta do what you gotta do during these times. And so some of the perks we get for academic experience, that we all get a Zoom Pro account, which is like an upgraded Zoom account where you get all kinds of neat benefits like being able to have longer Zoom calls. And so all the students get access to that, which is great. And then we also have synchronous and asynchronous learning. So the way how this works for most of my classes is that there's a synchronous section where it's like your lecture class and it's during whatever time slot of the day it is. So you can go to class during that time. But then they also upload the lecture afterwards, allowing you to watch it asynchronously, which would be really great if you have like something really busy going on. You're totally able to just like shift around your schedule and say like, oh, I can watch this lecture this later time so I can do my problem set at this time. And it also works out for people that are taking classes from different countries. If their time zones don't line up well with when we synchronously have our classes, they can just choose to watch the video afterwards and still learn everything. So that's really great that we have able to take advantage of that for online classes. And then we still have tons of resources for students. There's all kinds of virtual drop-in tutoring that has all been adapted to being online. And then instructional resilience. We have some classes that are semester in the cloud. I don't know exactly how the system works, but from what I understand, it's for some of our very large classes, it's a system where everything is like in a cloud-based server and everyone's able to access all the different like documents and everything there. But all I do know is that our university definitely has adapted to online learning pretty well, and I'm very thankful that I'm going to a university that has its stuff together.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with everything Aidan just said. There's a poll popping up asking, where do you or your student live while at Cal? We have all these wonderful options. We're not going to go over each one. I personally lived in Unit 1 my freshman year, Cheney Hall, if any of y'all are from there. And then I lived in Clark Kerr my sophomore year. So I have a lot of wonderful experience with Cal housing. Typically, we have residence halls and suites, all the ones listed in the poll. That 96% of our freshmen do go into on-campus housing their first year. Kind of splits off after that, but I lived and plan to live in on-campus housing as much as possible. I love it. It's incredible. There's the resident assistant there that'll help you out with whatever you need. It's a really wonderful resource. I see you have a lot of Unit 1 people. Heck, yeah, Unit 1, 2, or 3. Well, I'm going to assume it's Unit 1 because that's where I'm from, and I think that's the best unit, but all good there. Clark Kerr represent, awesome. But yeah, like there's a meal plan included, there's theme programs, there's just a ton of resources for you to, really feel connected to your community, however that might be. I lived in an all women's floor my freshman year, and so I had this incredible community of all these wonderful women. We would eat together, we would study together, like it was just beyond incredible. Like I had like 50 of my best friends just on my floor. It was insane, and I'm still friends with a lot of them today. Housing during COVID is obviously a little bit different, whether you're on campus or off campus. There's a lot of single rooms, face masks, like social pods. It's less crowded within the residence halls for sure. One of my friends is an RA, and I actually saw recently that she is quarantining in the room that I stayed in this past year, so that was really cool. So they do have like quarantine procedures for when new students do come to campus to make sure that everyone's staying all safe. I, however, am living at home right now, or I'm living in San Diego. One of my friends and I moved in together in San Diego, so we could both have our own space while also being close to our families. So that was really, really cool. Moving on.
Alrighty, now I'll be talking about some of the continuing options for afterwards. So a very large portion of freshmen live on campus during a normal semester. I think it's around like 96%. And then after that, a lot of students choose to look at some of the other options, but there are still some students that still stay with on-campus housing, just like Kaelyn mentioned earlier. And on-campus housing does definitely have its perks. I love living in the dorms my freshman year, where I have a lot of the same experiences of like community. In my dorm, I lived in Unit 3. It was a very fun time. There's a lot of other options that you have. So campus housing, just mentioned that, and an international house is an option that we have for international students. It's this very like large building that looks very nice. I haven't been around it very much, but it's housing for international students, which is pretty neat. We have some campus affiliated properties. These are properties that are essentially apartments, but they're university owned, and basically you get like a housing contract through the university to live on those apartments. There's off-campus apartments, which is what I'm doing right now. Actually, I'm living in an on-campus apartment with other friends that I met at Berkeley. I'm not necessarily required to be like at Berkeley on the campus, but I thought it'd be neat during the semester to live with friends. So that's what I'm doing. There's co-op housing. Berkeley actually has the biggest co-op housing, system in the nation, actually. And if you're unfamiliar with what co-op housing is, it's essentially housing where the rent is more cheaper, but basically everyone divides up certain kinds of chores and work all around the house. And then there's also Greek housing. Around 10% of Berkeley students are involved in Greek housing, and through Greek life, and through that, there's a large portion of people that choose to live in the Greek houses. And so for meal plan options, so when you're living on campus, you do get a meal plan included with your housing contract, but there's absolutely nothing stopping you from getting a meal plan while you're living in different off-campus housing. So that's great if you want to be able to eat stuff in and around campus. And then there's a lot more information on the Cal Housing website, housing.berkeley.edu. There's all kinds of information on there. I remember my freshman year, before my freshman year, during the summer leading up, I went to this website so many times to like clear up all the craziness and confusion that I had about housing. So a lot of great information there if you want to look up more about housing.
Yeah, I also was on that website like constantly. I feel like I'm still on there every time I decide to go back to campus and, you know, live in a new on-campus housing opportunity. So it's a really, really great resource. Now we get to talk a little bit about some university health services. As with Cal, there are tons of resources. So we'll go over some of the main ones. We have the Tang Center, which provides just about every health service you could possibly need, ranging from physical therapy to counseling and everything in between. COVID testing and tracing is a huge thing this year. I have a lot of my friends on campus who would tell me, oh yeah, I've got to go to this place on campus. They're doing COVID testing there. So it's kind of all over campus from what I understand, which is really, really cool, allowing different people to, you know, access it as they need it. There's a lot of different webinars and tips that I encourage you to check out online. There's a bunch of stuff on the Cal Parents Facebook group if you're at all interested in that. We do offer a lot of psychological counseling, even during this time of everything being online. I've seen so many psychological resources coming out on Instagram, like tons of healing circles, a lot of different ways for people to still get that care that they need. Path to Care is another wonderful resource that we have. It helps victims of sexual assault and sexual violence really get the support that they need. So we really do recognize that that is an issue that needs to be addressed, and provide as much support as possible for that. The Optometry Eye Center works with the optometry school. A lot of really wonderful graduate students working there. I've been there, and they're just so ridiculously nice. Like, it was the most pleasant like eye center experience I've ever had, because I just got so much personal attention. It was really wonderful. Beyond that, we have a lot of stress relief programs. We have Pause for Mental Health, which brings dogs to campus, and you just kind of get to pet them and hug them. I always go for the ones that look like my dog from home. And then we have Llama-palooza, which is the best thing, in my opinion, like ever to exist on campus. They bring llamas out onto the glade, and then you just take pictures with them. You can feed them carrots. You can do, like, it's just, they're so soft. Like, I think, like, I was surprised at how soft they were, which is like incredible. Like, I think my first Llama-palooza was on Halloween. So everyone was dressed up in like all sorts of different Halloween gear. I was dressed up as a sloth, and I found a lot of people who were wearing like the same kind of costume as I was. I didn't even know them, but we took pictures together with the llamas. It was awesome.
Wow, that's a great story for Llama-palooza. My Llama-palooza story wasn't nearly as interesting. I was just walking by and I saw a whole bunch of llamas. What's this about? Everyone says, come pet a llama. So not as interesting, but still a fun sentiment. So now here we're going to talk about a bit more of a serious topic about health and safety on campus. So Berkeley takes the health and safety of its students very, very seriously. And so here we have some of the safety services on campus. So first of all, we have the UC Police, or UCPD. They're located on campus in Sproul Plaza. And all throughout campus, there are these blue light poles, which there's tons of them throughout campus. There's like over 100 of them. And everyone on campus, you should be able to like make a circle and be able to spot one. And if there's any sort of emergency, you can easily just press the button on here, and UCPD will be at your location very quickly. I think like the longest it'll take them is like a little less than 2 minutes. So they are very fast. One thing that's good about having UCPD is that they'll get there way faster than the Berkeley Police Department. And so we also have something called Warn Me. So this is a system that students get put onto when they come to the university. If there's any sort of emergency that all the students need to be notified of immediately, it sends an email to their Berkeley account and then also sends like a text to their phone. And so like some examples of some of the things we had in the past is that there's one day during last fall semester where PG&E had to like cut off the power to like Berkeley because there's like safety issues of, and so basically everyone got sent text that like class was canceled for that next day because we wouldn't have power. So we get like messages like that. And then for the residence hall, there's a lot of security systems put in there. So when you're first walking into the door, you'll have to like scan your ID card in order to unlock the door. And then during late hours, there'll be a security monitor sitting there at the front where you'll also scan your ID card to make sure that you're good. And then to go up into your room, there'll be a key specific for your door. So there's a lot of different safety measures there in the dorms. And then for night services, so when things are in person on campus, some students like to stay like at campus pretty late. There's one library they have that's open for very late times. Some people like to study very late into the night. That's not me, but that's what some people like to do. And so the university wants to make sure everybody gets home safely at those times. So first of all, we have the night safety shuttle, which is an extension of Bear Transit, which is an already existing transit option that you can use to go all around campus. And so during night times, the route for Bear Transit so that they go to like the major like campus libraries and places on campus and then go to all the different major living areas on campus. It's very neat because where I'm living right now in Berkeley, there's a night safety shuttle stop that's right in front of where my apartment is. So it's very convenient to just take it and then you're right there, which is cool. And then another system we have is Bear Walk. So Bear Walk, it's another system that helps you get home at night, but instead of taking a shuttle, what you do is that you'll call this number that's on your ID card, or you can look it up on the website. And basically you'll get an officer to come to your location and then they'll just walk you home. And from what I've heard, this sounds like a pretty neat system because like while you're walking back, you kind of get the friendly, like get to talk to them and like see how they're doing. I have a couple of friends that work with Bear Walk. And right now, even though a lot of stuff isn't being in person on campus, the Bear Walk is still like operating during this time. So if students need that resource, they have it. So yeah, a lot of great safety resources for the campus. And I'm very thankful that we have all these safety resources. I was definitely very afraid of what it's going to be like in Berkeley based on all the rumors that I heard, but these safety resources definitely make me feel a lot more safe.
Yeah, absolutely agree with everything Aidan said. Bear Walk is incredible. Like I find that the students who work for Bear Walk are just such interesting, fascinating people. Like I have incredible conversations with all of them. So now we get to talk a little bit about student development, a lot of cool resources that we have on campus. I love this slide. I have so much to talk about here. I could talk your ear off for hours, but I won't. There are so many ways to get involved with identity and community. There's Centers for Educational Justice and Community. One of my very best friends is a part of the mixed retention center on campus. So she does like a lot of different things to ensure that students who have mixed racial heritage come and like connect with each other and get all of the resources they need. They do transfer resources, they do all sorts of recruitment events. It's a really, really wonderful place. We also have the Associate Students of the University of California, or ASUC. That's our student government on campus. I've been involved with that to some extent pretty much every single year that I've been at Cal. It's a really, really, really cool place. I'm currently serving as the director of the legislation department of one of our senators. And a lot of these students come together based on their communities. They have a lot of different insights that they bring to try to influence campus policy. We also have our Transfer Student Center, which focuses specifically on transfer students. They give them all sorts of resources, networking opportunities, and the like. We have undocumented students. There is an undocumented student government senator who I've like absolutely love, like incredible person that had my first class of them ever freshman year. So there's just so much support for whatever you may need, whatever your identity is. I promise there is a support system for you out there. You just got to look for it. And obviously there's too many on the slides to even name. Like I could talk for so long. So I encourage you to go and look up some of our resources just to get a better idea of what we have.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. There's so many different resources on campus, and I've definitely never regretted looking up resources that could be used for me since they have really helped out. So Kaelyn said she really liked the last slide, but this is a slide that I really like, all about student life. I talked about earlier how the community was my favorite part at Berkeley, and this slide kind of shows the life of that community at Berkeley. So first of all, we have over 1,000 student organizations. I can guarantee that no matter who you are, one of these organizations is perfect for you and you'll fit in this organization, just because everyone that I've talked to here at Berkeley has that sort of group that they really love. But even if you don't think one of those 1,000 groups is for you, it's very easy to make your own group. It's very simple paperwork, and then you have your own club. Um, we have all kinds of volunteering opportunities on campus and throughout the Berkeley area. I was involved in some of those things in the past. We have this thing called Berkeley Project where they get certain student organizations to go do community service stuff throughout Berkeley. So I did that one year. That was very fun. Campus employment. So there's all sorts of campus jobs available to students for people who want those. For example, being campus ambassador, like me and Kaelyn's, pretty fun job. There's all sorts of other jobs like helping out with the dining halls and helping out the library system. Of course, there aren't as many right now just because things aren't in person and a lot of those rely on being in person, but we saw a lot of those options. And also we have the Career Center at Berkeley. So the Career Center is a really big resource for helping people get job and internship opportunities. I know someone who got a job at the Career Center because the Career Center organized an interview with him and his employer at the Career Center, which is pretty great. And also a lot of the Career Center's operations have moved online. You can check them out at career.berkeley.edu, all kinds of fun stuff there. Lots of internship and job opportunities in this area. So Berkeley really benefits from being in San Francisco and Silicon Valley because there's so many companies there that want people. They really need to fill up internship positions. I have tons of people who have gotten great internships with like very big corporations. It's like, wow, okay, that's gonna put you in really great position after you graduate. So that's awesome. Study abroad opportunities. Once again, not as many right now because of the pandemic and everything going on, but I've heard lots of great stories about people studying abroad, going to somewhere else in the world to still get that Berkeley education. And then lots of Bay Area exploration. So I really didn't know too much about the Bay Area before I came to Berkeley. Like I visited San Francisco like a couple of times, but I didn't know how much like cool stuff there is up here and how much there is to explore around the area. And so there have been many times where I've explored around the Bay Area. Like even right now with being like socially responsible, wearing masks and socially distancing is definitely possible to like go through different hiking trails and explore around the Bay Area. So it is a very beautiful place. I definitely chose a pretty neat area to go to college.
Yeah, you said it, Aidan. Incredible. So as we transition to this slide, we're all doing things remotely. So where are you all joining us from? Please answer this poll just launched. I see some Southern California people. Heck yeah, I'm in Southern California too. Let's go. International people, thank you so much for joining us, whatever crazy time it is. But yeah, like Berkeley has had so many resources on campus. And as Aidan said, like there are a lot of jobs on campus. This job is absolutely the best. This has become such an important community for me during this time. Like we have a lot of different social media networks. We're always hyping each other up. There was a game night for like our campus ambassador knitting club, which turned into just a campus ambassador crafting club because we wanted as many people as possible to join. We did this super fun online game. Like I love this community. We have a lot of student groups and clubs that are still meeting. Aidan's part of RallyCom, as he mentioned, which is still doing the absolute most. Like I see so many posts for RallyCom all the time. Like we just have so many different social hours and there's ways to make that online to adapt to everyone's needs. And it's just been really, really incredible to see how students have rallied together to make this experience so much better. There are a lot of different department webinars training people how to better incorporate online learning into their teaching, into whatever they're trying to do. There's guest lecturers. Like I actually, because of this virtual format, in one of my classes this past week, had the author of the article we read for that class come and take questions. It was really, really cool. Like she just answered a bunch of questions. I got to ask about the process that she was doing, like how she wrote her paper, and all this sort of stuff that I never would have gotten otherwise. Golden Bear Orientation, or GBO, also was still a thing this year, which is just insane for me to think about. I remember like actually doing a campus tour the day before that and just hearing a bunch of really cool things about how they were adapting to that. They still put everyone in groups, still made sure everyone still got a lot of really incredible community. And I think that's one of, you know, the incredible things at Cal is that people are so innovative. People are so much so trying to make everyone feel welcome and feel still connected, even when we're all hundreds of miles away, thousands of miles away, whatever it may be.
All right, next thing we're going to talk about real quick is athletics. So once again, this is another thing that's kind of like a bit more impacted because of everything going on. But thankfully, we're actually having Cal football return in early November. I think November 7th is the first game. And no students will be allowed in the audience, but it's still going to be all on TV. I know I'm going to be watching, cheering on for our Cal Bears. So there's all sorts of different levels of competition. We have the university Division I, which is all the big professional sports like the football, basketball. There's club sports, which is a bit more competitive, but more like students on campus or can get more involved in that. And that's like competing with other universities and colleges. And then there's intramural recreational, which is a lot more open to everybody. Like this is a thing where you can get together with people and saying like, oh, I want to play with an intramural basketball team. And then you get together and then you play against other like teams, just like for fun, not everyone who takes it too seriously. So a lot of fun stuff there to get involved with athletics. California Memorial Stadium is a pretty neat stadium. It's very old. It was built like, it was around like the World War I times when it was built, and it's a very beautiful stadium. And it has a lot of cool resources there for student athletes, the Simpsons High Performance Center and Athletic Study Center. So there's a big emphasis on getting all that exercising and getting ready for games in there, but also athletic the study center as well, so that athletes are able to keep all their grades up. Also have Hospital Pavilion, which is where like the basketball team plays and volleyball, recreational sports facility, which is like our gym, and then the Olympic medals. So we have 207 Olympic medals, which is crazy. Ever since the 1920s, we've been sending students to go to the Olympics and compete for medals, which is pretty great. I just want to say real quick that for athletics at Berkeley, I didn't think athletics were going to be like a big part of Berkeley when I first came here. Like I already knew all the academic prowess, but it's definitely something that a lot of people get into, and it's very fun. And it's a part of college that I didn't think was going to be a big part of my life, but it is. So it's a very neat addition to everything going on in Berkeley.
So now we get to talk a little bit about libraries and research. Obviously, we're the #1 public research university, so we do put out the #1 public research. Most students tend to get involved through a program called URAP, or the Undergraduate Research and Apprenticeship Program. There's also many departmental opportunities, a lot of ways to get involved with your specific college. I was involved through the College of Natural Resources this past summer doing some mapping research, which was awesome because it combined both my majors. What the heck, incredible. We also have so many campus libraries. I'm sure alum, you all remember going on the campus and finding your favorite little study spot. That has been one of my favorite things about being on campus as well. My favorite library by far is the Earth Science and Map Library. It is so quiet there. There's air conditioning. There's so many outlets you can eat there, but then there's like nobody there. It's an undiscovered gem, I'm convinced. But we have 13+ million volumes, extensive online resources, which we can still get virtually. Like our online collection has just grown and grown, and it's absolutely incredible. I'm very, very lucky to be a part of this campus.
All right, and now we have one last slide to go through before we go into our Q&A session, which is a bit of the campus highlights on campus. So there's a lot of very neat things all throughout Berkeley they can check out. There's the fire trails, which are these pretty neat hiking trails that we have that are like on the east side of campus. We're able to hike through those and get some neat views. Like in the top middle picture, you'll see a view there, and I wouldn't be surprised if that was from one of the hiking trails because that's the kind of views that you can get from there. And it's also a great way to get some exercise in. We have Strawberry Creek, which is this cool creek that goes through the campus. And there's a lot of student research that happens with the creek and seeing how like the nature around the creek lives there and whatnot. There's all kinds of hills on campus, trees and wildlife, flora and fauna, and urban rural mix. This is definitely one thing that I found pretty interesting when I came to Berkeley. First of all, I didn't know too much about Berkeley when I first came here, so I didn't know what to expect if it was going to be like a city-like environment or like more open, but it really is like a mix, and it's very different like whichever direction you go. Like to the east you have all those hiking trails and hills, and then to the west you have downtown, and then north is like kind of more calmer, kind of suburban-ish, and then south has all the like cool like restaurants and like fun stuff there. So it is definitely a neat mishmash of stuff. It is a very neat college town, and it's another reason why I'm happy and thankful I'm going to university this cool. And with that, we'll be moving on to the Q&A session.
Yes, thank you so much, Aidan and Kaelyn, for such a wonderful kind of whirlwind tour of Berkeley. I think everyone took something away from it. So This is where we end the tour visit portion of today, and we'll transition into the Q&A portion now. So I'm going to turn over our first question to Kaelyn. Anonymous asks, do you feel like you are still getting the Berkeley experience through distance learning? So go ahead and share.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little trickier, certainly, getting this Berkeley experience virtually, but as I've said previously, Berkeley students and faculty and staff, like everyone's kind of rallying together to make it as great as possible. Like I call my friends all the time. We have our campus ambassador get-togethers, we have staff meetings. There's just a lot of really wonderful ways where we still feel like we're a part of a community. I actually went to the beach a couple days ago and got a bunch of sand dollars that I'm planning on sending to a bunch of my friends in Berkeley. So that's just kind of what, like, there's so many different creative opportunities for people to get together and still feel connected despite the fact that the world is so crazy right now. And I do think that to some extent, there are a few things that are almost a little bit easier. As I mentioned previously, I had office hours at 8 a.m. this morning, which I don't think I would have gone to otherwise. Like 8 a.m. is so early, but having it virtually made it so much better. And then, yeah, like people are really taking advantage of all these really cool opportunities that we have. Like I've managed to give myself Thursdays off just because everything's asynchronous, because I like going out to places where it's not super crowded, and I find that Thursday's a really, really great day to do that, and I can kind of shift all my other stuff around that. So in short, yeah, I think I'm getting the Berkeley experience for sure. It is different, but I love all of the students and all the faculty who have tried to make this so much better.
Yes, thank you for tackling that kind of honestly difficult question, but I think what you said is so true. And the fact that we're all going through it and we're all going through it together makes it much easier for us to organize ways to collaborate and still find community. So great answer. Our next question, and this is for Aidan. Someone says, my freshman is distance learning at home and worried he's not getting the social interaction that college normally provides. What can he do to connect with other students?
Yeah, there is a ton of different opportunities to connect with different students. So I'd say the biggest thing is to look at the different clubs that are on campus. I know there's all kinds of websites that like list out all the different clubs. And then we have different sorts of, I can't think of the word is for it. Like we've had events where, for example, like when things are on campus, you have this thing called Calpalooza, which is normally when all the like clubs got together in Sproul and people could go and check out all the different clubs. We have like an online version of that where there's all kinds of different like Zoom calls that you can go to meet with the different clubs and see if you want to get involved with that. And yeah, and so the biggest example I have for this is with the rally committee. We've done so many like fun things, like during meetings, we'll play all kinds of different online games, and we have all sorts of different ways how we meet each other. Like we have this fun thing where we would like put like a spotlight on like a new member or a freshman, and like we just like ask them different questions and to like get to know them. So we have like that way. And one thing, so this sounds so silly, but it was actually really fun for rally committee. We had this game. So I don't know if everyone's heard of the show Love is Blind, but we had like a version of that, but not like romance based, but like friend based, called Rallycom is Blind. And basically we all came up with our own like fake personalities, and like we all like tried to figure out who we were. And like we played all sorts of like different online games with that. And then at the end, like we all like revealed who we were and tried to guess who we were. So that was insanely fun. Like when that first got suggested, I thought, okay, it sounds really silly. But when I did it, it was just really fun. So we really are getting creative with the different ways how to meet with people in clubs. And so that's just like a small example of one club. Remember, there's over 1,000 clubs, so I can't imagine what the other 999 plus are doing to meet with their new members. So we really are getting creative with meeting people. So if you're feeling that you don't have that community, I just advise you to just look online for the different clubs. And definitely people aren't very, how should I say, it's like they don't really like shun people, or like if you're a new member, they're definitely very welcoming to new members. So it's definitely not something that I'd say is like that you would regret doing. There's not very much risk involved with just putting yourself out there and trying to join a new club.
That is so true. And yeah, I totally agree that people would be surprised how much you can still do online. Like I'm involved in dance organizations and we still log in and like do dance all together through Zoom, and it's still fun. So thank you so much, Aidan, for sharing just creative ways that students have adopted. And I'll ask maybe one of our last questions for today for Kaelyn. Kaelyn, Are you considering a gap semester or a gap year because of distance learning? And is this something Cal supports, or what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so for me, I never really considered taking a gap year. I just really wanted to make sure that I still progress through my college years. I really wanted, I want to graduate on time still. And since I'm a double major, it doesn't really make sense for me to take a year off because I do need that time to get that to happen. However, one of my friends, my very close friends, took a gap year off, which I thought was absolutely amazing. She was my freshman year roommate, and she was an architecture major, and she took a gap year off to take an internship at a construction company. And her story about that was really, really fascinating. She just, had so much insight with it, and she really wanted to make sure that she got hands-on experience, and she is, like, she's going to a construction site every single day, getting that hands-on experience. So that was a really, really great opportunity for her, and I know for a fact Berkeley did support her. I just didn't have something concrete like that, excuse the pun. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity to do, but it wasn't right for me. I encourage everyone to look at their own set of circumstances and see if, they can find something like that where, having that hands-on experience is something that you can still do. But again, like, as a double major, didn't really make the most sense for me.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And thank you for sharing. I think it's important to recognize that everyone's path is different, and what might be right for one person might not be right for another person, but heavily considering all the options is really important. So thank you both. I'll ask our last question, which is very generally, why Berkeley? What's your Berkeley story? So either of you can start, and just the other chime in right after.
Yeah, I can start. So my Berkeley story was pretty interesting because first of all, I don't really know exactly why I applied to UC Berkeley. I think it was because it was as simple as just checking off the box on the application, but I did not think I was getting into Berkeley at all. And when I did get in, I was very shocked. And so in the months leading up to the college decisions, I didn't research anything about the university. So that first day when I got in, I started looking up everything online. And at first I was just getting a feel for what chemical engineering was like at Berkeley. And at first I thought it was really cool. It's like, wow, we discovered 16 elements, there's dot structures, all this cool history of chemistry at Berkeley that I had no clue existed. And so what I wanted to do is that I wanted to visit the campus to get a feel for the campus community and the culture and all that. And so I visited Berkeley during Cal Day, which is the mid-students day. This last year, we unfortunately couldn't have it, but we had an online version for it that I think worked pretty efficiently at showing the Berkeley community and everything. And yeah, from that moment, I knew this is the university I wanted to go to. It really had that community that I wanted to be a part of. During high school, I had a lot of struggles fitting in and finding those people that I would call my friends and family. But at Berkeley, I knew when I came here that just seeing everyone's spirit and pride and their determination and everything like that, I just knew that Berkeley is a community that I wanted to be a part of. And ever since then, I chose to come to Berkeley, and it's just been so amazing being a part of this community. I have some amazing friends that I've met here. And yeah, and like I've been echoing in the tour, no matter who you are, or if you're interested in Berkeley, that this community definitely is amazing, and everyone is welcome here. Everybody has their own kind of niche family and group that they can belong in. And I can guarantee that if you come here, that you will find that community and you will love it here.
Yeah, Aidan, absolutely agree with everything you said. There's such community here. My Berkeley story is a little bit different. I knew I wanted to go to Berkeley pretty much the second I stepped on campus. I spent a week at Cal doing a summer camp the summer after my freshman year of high school, which was incredible. Absolutely fell in love with the place. I knew when I was applying to college that there was no other place for me. If I got into Cal, I knew I wasn't even going to look at anywhere else. But then I got waitlisted. Very, very fun, which completely threw a wrench in everything. And I had to do the responsible thing, which, pick another school to go to. So I chose a different path entirely, basically the opposite of what I'm doing now, which is really, really crazy to think about now. And then, I think where my story differs from a lot of waitlisted stories is that when I found out that I got into Cal, I actually wasn't excited initially. I am very much so a stubborn person, so when I make a decision, I like to commit to it, and this threw a wrench in all of my plans. So for the first few days, I actually didn't think I was going to switch and go to Cal. Obviously, I did, but it was just a really hard decision for me, for sure. But then one day I was sitting in my environmental science class, actually, and I did some research on the College of Natural Resources, and I saw that motto that I mentioned earlier, which is see the bigger picture, make a better world. Immediately when I saw that, everything changed like that. Coming to Cal was no longer a choice for me, it was an imperative. I had to come here. Like, how could I not want to be a part of all these wonderful students who see the world, see the problems, and do everything that they can to try and fix it? So within 3 hours after that, I'd committed to Cal, and I haven't looked back since.
Wow, I don't even know how to respond. Like, both of your stories almost left me teary-eyed, because I was like, this is the same kind of energy that I feel towards my school, and I'm sure that so many people out there listening right now feel as well. So thank you, thank you, thank you to both of you for such a wonderful kind of visit of Berkeley today. Very quickly, I'm going to share some kind of lost resources for everyone to take a look at. Let me just pull it up. Alrighty, so everyone, feel free to follow us on social media. We'd love to stay connected after this visit. We also have other virtual campus tours that are available on our website at visit.berkeley.edu. There will be other recorded virtual campus visits available on our YouTube channel, Visit UC Berkeley, as well as our student panels. Please check out all of our homecoming resources at homecoming.berkeley.edu or in the guidebook app. And then just a few links. We have the 150 Years of Women celebration at 150w.berkeley.edu, and our Bear Talk blog, which is a campus ambassador run blog where we talk about all of our experiences as students at beartalk.berkeley.edu. So with that, we just wanted to say thank you so much for today. Go Bears. And if Aidan and Kaelyn will join me for a last Go Bears to send everyone off. So I'll count down. 1, 2, 3. Go Bears.
Go Bears.
Okay, thank you, and have a great rest of your day.